When Dorje Chang Buddha III is mentioned, those who have read the rumor stories on the internet but do not know the real situation would say he is a villain. They got such an impression from the arrest warrant issued by the Public Security Department of China's Guangdong Province for the case of Wan Ko Yee's fraud long ago. The arrest warrant was elevated to China's national level and then reported to the International Criminal Police Organization, Interpol. In response, Interpol also issued its own arrest warrant based on China's request. The fact is, Wan Ko Yee is Dorje Chang Buddha III's worldly name before being recognized as the Buddha. So Dorje Chang Buddha III's worldly name before being recognized as the Buddha is Wan Ko Yee, and there's also a Chinese pinyin of my Buddha master's name called, which is named Yi Yun Gao. However, those who based their impression on the above-mentioned incident have not gotten the whole story and also did not think about an obvious question. That is, more than 12 years have passed since Interpol issued the arrest warrant. Why is Dorje Chang Buddha III still able to travel freely from country to country without being arrested? Shouldn't this fact make people wonder whether he is a criminal or not? The fact is that Dorje Chang Buddha III spends much of his time in the United States. Not only does he never go into hiding, he also visits different countries to publicly teach and meet people of all walks of life. For instance, he was at the US Capitol to accept the World Peace Prize in person. Many policemen were at the site on that day. Interpol could have apprehended him without any effort if the arrest warrant was in effect. Then why hadn't Interpol and the police organizations of its member countries taken any action during those 12 years? So what is the truth behind this situation? Then what is the truth behind this situation? The fact is that this so-called case of Wan Ko Yee's fraud was actually a falsified, fabricated case to persecute Dorje Chang Buddha III by some individuals in China who were in powerful positions at that time. The identities of these people have not been revealed by people with inside information. They are the then party secretary of Sichuan province, Zhou Yongkang, and the then secretary of the Politics and Law Committee and chief of the Public Security Department of Guangdong Province, Chen Shaoji. Chen Shaoji later served as the chairman of the Political Consultative Conference of Guangdong Province. More recently, he was tried and sentenced to death with stay for embezzlement and corruption in 2010. This incident dates back to 1999 when Liu Baihang and Huang Xiaosui were both Dorje Chang Buddha III's students. Liu Baihang is Hong Kongese, I believe, and his written English name is Lo Pak Hong. That's how you would pronounce it probably. But I'm just going to pronounce it as his the way it's said in Chinese. And Huang Xiaosui were both Dorje Chang Buddha III's students. And in bracket here, they're also members of the Master Wan Ko Yee Museum in Hong Kong. There used to be a Master Wan Ko Yee Museum also in Hong Kong, but it doesn't exist anymore. Due to an occurrence of fraud at the Master Wan Ko Yee Museum in Hong Kong, Dorje Chang Buddha III told the museum's members to form a group of inspection and reporting and put up a box to collect submitted written reports. Huang Xiaosui begged Dorje Chang Buddha III to cancel the system of inspection and reporting, but Dorje Chang Buddha III did not agree. Since Huang Xiaosui was the person committing the fraud, she hated Dorje Chang Buddha III for that. On the next day, after the group of inspection and reporting was formed, she beclouded Liu Baihang and some other people by smearing Dorje Chang Buddha III as the villain doing all evils. That caused the museum to be closed 3 days later, and the group of inspection and reporting to be dissolved automatically. However, Huang Xiaosui's godfather, Mr. Niu, was from Sichuan, which is a province in China, and was the deputy minister of a ministry of the central government. His son was a business partner of Huang Xiaosui. Through his work relations, Mr. Niu was directly acquainted with Zhou Yongkang and Chen Shaoji, a corrupted official in Guangdong Province. And in bracket, the province neighboring Hong Kong and including Shenzhen. Shenzhen is a city within Guangdong Province, where Dorje Chang Buddha III last lived in China. So this was where my Buddha master last lived in China. In the Guangdong province was where my Buddha master last lived in China in 1999. And then after that, my Buddha master came to the US and never again went back to China. However, my Buddha master has traveled to a lot of different countries, but just never back to China. That's my understanding. With hatred toward H.H. Dorje Buddha III in mind, Mr. Niu contacted Zhou Yongkang and Chen Shaoji to plan and fabricate this case of Wan Ko Yee's fraud to persecute H.H. Dorje Buddha III. As part of the persecution, Zhou Yongkang and Chen, I'm reading the English here, so I'm not. I think that is his Chinese name. Chen, the then mayor of Chengdu. Chengdu is the provincial capital of Sichuan, which was where I was born. I was born in Chengdu, and Sichuan province includes Dayi County. Dayi County was where my Buddha master was born. This will be used for later. Signed a document to order the closure of the Master Wan Ko Yee's museum in Dayi County that was built by the Dayi County government with approval from the Chengdu City Planning Committee and was opened officially by the government. So the Chengdu City Planning Committee, the government, opened this museum, this Master Wan Ko Yee museum in Chengdu originally. However, after this persecution, as part of the persecution, Zhou Yongkang and Li Chunchen, the mayor of Chengdu, they closed it. The more than 100 paintings and calligraphies on exhibition in the museum that were created by H.H. Dorje Buddha III and provided to the museum by him were then embezzled into private hands. Additionally, without any need and not making any compensation, the Chengdu city government purposefully demolished the only real estate owned by H.H. Dorje Buddha III in China. His residence located on number 919 West Xinhua Road in Chengdu. To this day, that parcel of land located at the center of the city's business district is still abandoned, with nothing constructed on it. On June 20th, 2002, ordered by Chen Shaoji, the Shenzhen Public Security Bureau used a baseless cause of fraud through a contract to issue a report form to place criminal case on file for investigation and prosecution to create a case against Wan Ko Yee, which stated that Wan Ko Yee signed a contract with Liu Juan in April 2000 to sell the already sold Jixiang property in Shenzhen to Liu Juan and made 150 million Chinese yuan from the fraud. The Shenzhen Public Security Bureau tortured Liu Juan to extort a disposition from her and also distorted a separate matter of Liu Baihang, who is a businessman in Hong Kong, being defrauded by his fellow sister Wang Xiaoshui as a false accusation against Wan Ko Yee. Fellow sister as in fellow Dharma sister. So Huang Xiaoshui used to be a Dharma sister of Liu Baihang. They're disciples of my Buddha master H.H. Dorje Buddha III. Therefore, Liu Juan and Liu Baihang were the only two victims in the entire case, which was reported in news published by the news media. So, in this whole case, the so-called victims are Liu Juan and Liu Baihang. They are victims, but not victims of my Buddha master. Related to the latter incident, Hong Kong's Independent Commission Against Corruption, ICAC for short, prosecuted Huang Xiaoshui and her brother in November 2002 for their crime of illegal mortgaging the real estate of the Master Wan Ko Yee Museum in Hong Kong, owned by Liu Baihang, to a bank in order to obtain a loan. The High Court in Hong Kong subsequently sentenced them to 11 years and 7.5 years in jails respectively. Even though the Guangdong Public Security Department, controlled by Chen Shaoji, knew clearly that Huang Xiaoshui was a real criminal, they had to obey and execute their boss's order. So the crime was still used to defame H.H. Dorje Buddha III. At the end of 2002, the Public Security Department of Guangdong Province still issued an arrest warrant for Wan Ko Yee, but the statement therein was contradictory to the original case report of the Shenzhen Public Security Bureau, saying that he obtained a property with a huge value of about 60 million Chinese yuan from the victims by fraud. Quote here, the value of the real estate owned by Liu Baihang. Did the Shenzhen Public Security Bureau tell the truth, or the Public Security Department of Guangdong Province? Also, who were the unfounded victims? These people did not exist. Isn't this ridiculous? After being promoted to the Secretary of the Politics and Law Council, and later risen to the position of a member of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee in Beijing, Zhou Yongkang continued the persecution against H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III. Although Interpol did issue an arrest warrant of red notice near the end of 2004 based on the application submitted by China, doubts were quickly found in the case right at that time. So, and also I read anyone is able to issue a or request for a red notice, and so Interpol would just issue it. Okay. Therefore, Interpol redefined the case and launched a detailed investigation lasting more than 3 years. Eventually, Interpol firmly determined that this was a fabricated false case to frame H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III. Meanwhile, the relevant government agencies in China also confirmed through verification that Wan Ko Yee did not commit any crime. They submitted a report to Interpol on June 11, 2008, requesting to revoke the arrest warrant. So even China sent a request to revoke the arrest warrant. China as a nation. If the person is guilty, would China take an initiative to cancel the arrest warrant? At the 72nd session of the Commission for the Control of Interpol's Files, held in October 2008, a conclusion of innocence was reached, and Interpol officially announced the cancellation of the arrest warrant for Wan Ko Yee, as well as the entire case. Additionally, an official document was issued to inform all Interpol's member nations not to detain Wan Ko Yee. Interpol also wrote a letter to H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III on this matter, which described the entire process. The fact is that H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III has never had any speech or conduct that violated the law or committed a crime, nor has there been any guilty verdict against him from any court or law enforcement agency. He legally arrived at the United States on August 1st, 1999, with a teaching invitation, and subsequently obtained permanent residency by immigrating legally. He has never returned to China since. H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III has never formed a company in China. Not only has he never signed a contract or done any business with Liu Juan, but also, in an absolutely impossible scenario, he had no authority to sign the contract even if he wanted to. This is because the company that owned the Jixiang property was not H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III's. H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III never served at any position of the company and was not an employee. Furthermore, the fact is that H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III has never signed any contract with anyone. The Public Security Bureau made a false accusation against H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III out of nothing. They simply do not have this contract to show the public, and only created a false report form to place criminal case on file for investigation and prosecution, to smear H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III. If they disagree with any of these facts, we ask them to release this contract on the internet to let everyone see the fact. This news article was posted in 2016 on Taiwan Times, and it was translated to English. I'm reading the translation. This was not done by ChatGPT or Google Translate. It was done by, I'm not sure who, but I read the Chinese as well, the Chinese article. Anyways, basically this new it's telling me out, calling them out basically to release the contract to the internet. As early as in 2003, Liu Juan already wrote a statement while in the United States and sent it to the Shenzhen Middle Level People's Court with notarization to attest that she was tortured to extort a disposition at the time and had to make a false disposition. Quote, "I had to say whatever the public security personnel wanted me to say, according to their purpose, she stated. She also stated that H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III absolutely had not defrauded her. The other victim, Liu Baihang, spoke publicly at a press conference held in Hong Kong on December 9, 2014, stated that H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III never defrauded him for money, and it was Huang Xiaosui who deceived him and committed a fraud to mortgage his property. So here I want to add that I was able to find, and this was in Chinese, I was able to find the press conference held in Hong Kong in 2014, but it was the earlier months. He openly held a press conference. Whether he held another one later on in 2014, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I don't have pictures of that. Liu Juan wrote multiple statements. In 2016, she also wrote one. On April 23rd, 2015, Liu Baihang stated again in a written testimony, quote, "My master, H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III, never defrauded me. The person who defrauded me for more than 60 million Hong Kong dollars is my inferior fellow Buddhist sister, Huang Xiaosui. For that, the court in Hong Kong sentenced her to 9 years imprisonment. She has received the punishment by law that she deserved. I always think that my master, H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III, is the greatest and the most selfless." Since the victims in the case and Interpol has successively testified or proved that this is a false case fabricated for framing H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III with false accusations, and since China has also requested Interpol to cancel the arrest warrant, why is the arrest warrant issued by the Public Security Department of Guangdong Province still online? And why has no decision been made to extradite the innocent person? This question gets to the core of the entire incident. According to information revealed, the unlawful public security personnel in Guangdong and Shenzhen, led by Chen Shaoji, privately embezzled lots of money and properties and valuables during using the opportunities of handling cases. They stole more than 700 paintings and calligraphies created by H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III's painstaking efforts through several decades, and the over 70 famous ancient paintings that Wan Ko, quote, Liu Juan's business partner, had bought for his collection. So Wan Ko bought a lot of ancient paintings for his collection. And then here in the bracket again, if calculated by the current auction price of H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III's paintings and calligraphies, these paintings and calligraphies embezzled into private hands are valued at more than 40 billion Chinese yuan, or 6.5 billion US dollars, and this is a conservative estimate. My Buddha Master paintings auction go upwards of millions of dollars. Many millions of dollars. Many millions. In addition, they also robbed tens of kilograms of gold and jewelries, as well as famous watches and other valuables from the jewelry company owned jointly by Liu Juan and Wan Ko. No wonder such, and the news says, no wonder such big tigers will not refrain from eating humans. It's potentially a saying in Chinese. Although the corrupting officials led by Zhou Yongkang and Chen Shaoji in persecuting H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III later were sentenced to jail one after another due to their corrupting and degenerating deeds found in other cases, the embezzling and corrupting members of the police involved in this case are still within the rank of the public security personnel of Guangdong Province. To cover up their crimes of embezzlement, they resist the cancellation of the arrest warrant by all means. Worrying about their embezzling acts being exposed, they spread rumors everywhere to describe H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III as a bad person, to delude the great masses and cover up their own embezzlement and corruption. Another and even more important fact is that the greatly loving and greatly compassionate H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III never minds and never appeals or complains about any framing, persecution, slandering against him. When people within the World Peace Prize Awarding Council asked him, His Holiness, after learning the facts in the process of recipient selection for the World Peace Prize, why he had not published Interpol's conclusion from investigation to refute the rumors, H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III said, The thing that I want to do is, I will bear all negative karmas and sins of living beings. I will give all my good karmas and merit to you. If I show that to exterminate me, the people who slandered me would not get exterminated. Then who will bear their sins and negative karmas? The thing that my Buddha master is referring to show is the letter that Interpol wrote to my Buddha master, the cancellation of the red notice. It was reported by news media that H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III had already announced to the whole world in his early years that he would not accept any offerings from any people in this entire lifetime. Throughout the several decades, there have been countless real instances of him declining offers from others worth tens of millions or even more than 100 million. I want to add something. I want to share something. There's a Taiwanese billionaire called Pan Shaoji. He offered my Buddha master the amount of gold that needs to be shipped over. That's the amount of gold he has, and this gold has not been valued. He tried to offer it to my Buddha master. My Buddha master said no. Moreover, at the New York spring auction in March 2015, a painting titled Ink Lotus that took less than 2 hours of H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III's time to create was auctioned for $16.5 million in US dollars, which was the highest price realized at this spring auction, and far exceeded the prices of other paintings by famous ancient and modern Chinese artists sold there. Can such a great person with huge wealth and accomplishments defraud people for money and property? This is certainly worth pondering. This incident itself is even more worthy of an investigation by the relevant government agencies in China to find out who actually embezzled the properties valued more than 40 billion Chinese yuan and the gold and jewelries weighing tens of kilograms. Written by Helou. In another blog I wrote, the title is "People Won't Donate If You Say You Aren't Accepting Offerings." I read a Dharma brother and Dharma sister's article in Chinese. Their names are Gong Ga Zunba and Ren Qing Que Zhen. One thing that they observed was that after a really supreme, a really extraordinary, I don't know how to translate it, Dharma assembly, like all the disciples, they prepared red envelopes, they put it up there before the Dharma assembly. After the Dharma assembly, without anyone's instructions, everyone took it back. Naturally, people just went up to grab their red envelope, took it back. What they wrote was that they talked about their feelings about why it's wrong to do that, or how we should do it, even if my Buddha master does not accept the red envelope or red pocket, or we can call it red pocket. If my Buddha master does not accept it, you should do so and so and so with it. That's their take on it, and honestly, I agree a lot with what they wrote. Anyways, it brings out the fact that we, disciples of H.H. Dorje Chang Buddha III, have been so accustomed to the Buddha master not accepting offerings that we fake it, that we use it as like a prop. We treat the red pocket as a prop. We treat the money inside the red pocket as a prop. We're so accustomed to it that it's become like a habit to just take it back without anyone's instructions. So that just proves that my Buddha master never accepts offerings. Well, another thing that I really thought about when I was reading about it, that I had an epiphany to, I said, now think about it. Would a master dare to claim that they don't accept offerings? If they publicly say that they don't accept offerings but still take them in private, wouldn't they be exposed and called out everywhere? It would be overwhelming. And even putting aside the fear of being exposed, the real issue is that If they say they don't accept offerings, they might not receive any or much less than what they could have. After all, their livelihood depends on offerings in the first place. It's obviously really different from my Buddha master. My Buddha master does not depend on offerings, nor like even my Buddha master would not need offerings to survive in this world, this Saha world.